That's not my trick, Michael. It's my illusion.
That's right. Welcome to the Trashcats Trashcast. I'm Richard.
I'm Steven.
And today we're going to dive into the world of illusion. Damn it, I fucked that up.
Illusion.
Illusions. Fuck it, leave it in. And talk about one of the greatest manipulators of illusion of all time. That mistake was an illusion.
It was all an illusion. This will be a fun show one. I like that, when we started writing this, we had a specific goal in mind, and it really turned into something else. And I think that's the nature of the topic. So I think this will be pretty cool.
We pulled the whole deception on ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
So first, how was your week?
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had that wedding last weekend. Sam and Megan got married, and I'll be the first person.
Congratulations, Sam and Megan.
I guess I won't be the first person to congratulate them on a podcast.
Nope. Gotcha, motherfucker.
Oh, shit. It was a fun time, and I got to catch up with a couple of the old homies. Told a couple stories about in the last one. It was cool. And got some fucking killer art on the way. I'm very excited about that. But overall, just really fucking tired. It was hard to get moving today, but we're here, and I'm gonna get psyched. So,
and when you're here, your family.
Got the caffeine, the nicotine. We're ready to rock and roll. What about you, man?
Week's been pretty uneventful, which is good. Could needed that the last week here. It's been good. Yeah, that's about it. We did Halloween with that was my mom and my friend Chana, and we were waiting outside for kids to come around, and we realized we're the only people on the block sitting outside on our porch. And then it started raining, and we're like, all right, never mind.
Just out there slinging Skittles in the rain.
Yeah, slinging Skittles. And then we were trying to do like the social distance thing, and we had a bowl like out in, the walkway. Like, so they come into like the gate a little bit, and then, the candy's there, and then we were sitting on the porch. And we realized we just had a bowl of candy sitting in the rain.
That's awesome. I'm glad you guys had a chill time. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool.
Oh, yeah. What about honorable mentions? You got anything before we get to it? I
certainly do. So we've talked before many times about Beeple. He's one of the widely known, if you didn't know him before, for his ridiculous renderings that he does every single day.
Yeah.
He recently sold an NFT for $69 million. So it put him at the top of the list of like one of the most highly priced art pieces like ever of all time.
This is dope. I purposely had not looked at it.
Oh yeah, no, it's really cool. So he just came back with something else to sell at Christie's. It's a sculpture. It's a physical piece. And some people are like, why would you go to a physical thing if you make so much money on the NFTs? But it's got an NFT like worked into it. It's a sculpture. It's got like screens on it, and it has I can actually read it a little bit. The piece is called Human One. It's a 7-foot tall box-like structure covered in LED screens that display 24 hours worth of video. In that footage, an astronaut is shown walking rhythmically through dystopian landscapes. The structure and corresponding video are arranged so that the piece appears to contain a life-size, three-dimensional figure that turns as the sculpture rotates. It does have an NFT-based piece of it. The smart contract of the NFT was specifically coded so that even when the work is sold, Winkleman will continue to have, Winkleman is Beeple, will continue to have remote control over what is displayed on those screens. They said he can change the art remotely forever. He could decide to shut it down, destroy it if he wanted to. The collector will have to be okay with that. because there's very little chance that people won't take the opportunity to surprise the collector with new work if you can.
Yeah. It's kind of a collaborative showcasing of sorts. This is really cool. I really like. I've had very different but similar ideas of displaying work, and I just think this shit is so innovative, so cool. I think NFTs are really dumb, but I really love that artists are prospering off of them. So
yeah, exactly.
Have you heard the term right clickers?
No.
This is my favorite. So they're calling people that are online that think NFTs are dumb, they call them right clickers because they just steal the NFTs by saving right click save as. So the NFT pirates are right clickers. And there's recently a case someone stole an NFT and just kept it. Like, it got stolen from him, but he just kept it as his profile picture. And everyone's like, hey, you don't own that anymore. He's like, yes, I do. It's still mine. And like this one theft, like, disproved every single thing about NFTs, because it's like, it doesn't matter that it was backed up on the blockchain. It isn't the only one. This guy's still claiming, like, there's so many problems that it generated. It's been really funny. So there's all these pirates that are just right clicking.
That's pretty fucking funny.
I love it. It's going to be the future of art fraud.
I mean, as long as the artist is getting paid at least once, then, you know.
Well, they're supposed to get paid a lot more, but
well, I mean, yeah.
I think it's cool either way. Fuck them.
Fuck them all.
Yeah, that's a really dope piece. Do you got anything else?
Nope, that's all I got.
Cool. I was just gonna shout out. I've been a hater this week. I've been doing my own thing and like not feeling inspired by other people's shit. Which sometimes that's the way to be. Like my work uses other people's stuff a lot, and I'm always looking at shit. It's a constant inspiration, but sometimes it's just gotta be like, fuck it all, just gonna do what the fuck I'm thinking about. So I haven't been looking at much this week, so I wanted to shout out the OG homies. I'm gonna go with Chaotic Steel, our buddy. He's got an album coming out, super psyched about that. I think one of these days we should interview him on a pod.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
I think he would be down. That'd be super fun.
He's been down since day one.
Yeah, that's our dude. So Chaotic, Approaching Human. My brother, check out his SoundCloud. He's got some really cool stuff coming up. And then just the coolest fucking dude ever. I don't know if we'll hear this, but he's showed us so much love. It's so cool. Mark Indicil. Check out his art on Instagram. Dude does some awesome stuff. And I've been talking to him on and off lately, and it's been a pleasure. Really cool.
That's one of my favorite things. When I tell people about the podcast, and I tell them, like, it's not like a really huge thing or anything, but we reached out to some of these artists and just tell them like, hey, we shouted out your work and we appreciate what you're doing, and we almost always get if we get responses, it's positive responses that are like, oh, thanks, like that's awesome, I'm so glad to hear that, and and some of them end up like following us back and like, liking the Instagram posts and shit. And it's like, that's huge. That's really cool.
It's the coolest feeling ever. Most people don't listen, but they check it out and like show some support back. Like this week, got to talk to Symphonic Noctum in our last episode. He's making black metal music in Russia. The Rainbow Wolf illustration we did last Fly Apples, they messaged us and we like joked back and forth for a bit. It was awesome. Like, I love that shit. What's the first time we heard back that director of the Trash?
Oh, Murray Sipple?
Yeah, Murray Sipple. Like, that shit's so dope, man. It's so cool.
Yeah. Even if we've even contacted some that are like, they don't speak English, so they don't, they're like, I couldn't listen to Solonev Black.
Yeah,
I'm pronouncing that right.
That's one of my. I don't know if it's a he or she. One of my favorite artists. Just ever.
Awesome work, but they were like, I can't listen to this whole thing because I don't speak English, but
it's so cool though. Well, enough of sucking ourselves. What what do we got going on?
I was just thinking the podcast is cool. So we're talking about illusions.
Hey, we do some really cool stuff.
Yeah, man, we're fucking dope. I mean, this is the greatest podcast of all time, and no one can tell me otherwise. But
fuck yeah.
So the art of illusion. So an illusion is a distortion of the senses, which can reveal how the human brain normally organizes and interprets sensory stimulation. Although illusions distort our perception of reality, they are generally shared by most people.
Kind of like rainbows.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so cool. They're the illusion of light bending color. We all perceive them differently, but it would be so cool to know what other people's rainbows look like or how different the illusion is, you know?
Yeah, that's a fun conversation for me. I guess it's not really a conversation so much because there's not that much to say about it, but it's like, or if you ask someone like describe red, to someone who's never seen light before.
Don't get me going. John's colorblind. My buddy at the wedding, he was colorblind and he's in the Air Force, and we had like a long talk about, I'm so interested in colorblindness stuff. It's so fucking weird. I always like to pretend my rainbows are way prettier than the other person's. Like if you're trying to describe the rainbow, always make yours sound way prettier.
Yeah.
Mine's a triple rainbow.
Yeah, you don't see the triple rainbow? It's almost like a triple rainbow.
I've never seen these colors before.
Yeah, it's illusions may occur in any of the human senses. The visual illusions, like optical illusions, it's the best known and understood. The emphasis on visual illusion occurs because vision often dominates the other senses. For example, individuals watching a ventriloquist will perceive the voice is coming from the dummy since they're able to see the dummy's mouth moving to the words.
Yeah, I don't trust men with puppets.
That's a fair. Never trust a man with no shirt on, and never trust a man with puppets.
Oh fuck! I had a friend in grade school that did ventriloquism because, of course, and it's such a cool art. But man, there's some weird people, aren't they?
Yeah, well, I mean, I never got into the who was the fucking comedian that did that?
No. Don't say his name on this show.
Yeah, we can't say his name on the show. He's not
the worst comedian ever. There's a lot of bad comedians, but he's up there. But it's amazing how deceptive they can be. But that's audio, so visual. Have you seen? I feel like you've seen these. The photographs of the floating castle mirages at sea.
No, dude.
So there's some crazy ones, and it made it into like mythology stuff a lot, where like pirates or people at sea, they would see land from far off and it wasn't there kind of thing. But there's these photos on the internet going around of like castles floating in the clouds. And it's like,
oh, okay, I know what you mean.
You get the mirage on the water, the hot air goes up and it bends like so much. You can see like a boat or like something on land, like a castle, a lighthouse just floating in the clouds. And it's like, I feel like if you saw that in real life, it would be so hard to trust what you're seeing. Like, yeah, it's just so cool. It reminds me of Miyazaki or like Howl's Moving Cat, that kind of shit, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's fucking cool. I'm looking at pictures now of it with a bunch of different boats.
Yeah, it just like defies logic.
It's fucking cool.
Castle in the clouds mirages. Some of the boats are wild too.
Some illusions are based on general assumptions the brain makes during perception. These assumptions are made using organizational principles like the Gestalt theory. An individual's capacity for depth perception and motion perception and perceptual consistency. Constancy? What's that word? That says constancy.
It does that. They must have made a mistake.
They fucked up. Not us. We proofread everything.
Never spelled a word wrong in my life.
Other illusions occur
You got 4 misspelled tattoos, but I've never misspelled a podcast.
Other illusions occur because of the biological sensory structures within the human body or conditions outside the body within one's physical environment.
Gestalt psychology is a theory that looks at human perception. It originated in Austria and Germany during the early 20th century as a counter to the principles of elementalist and structural psychology. Max Wertheimer, Wolfgang Kohler, and Kurt Koffler are the pioneers of Gestalt psychology. In art theory, when it comes to our interpretation of visual stimuli, we're always looking for the simplest possible way to understand a thing. The Gestalt psychologists called this the law of Pragnaz, aka good figure or law of simplicity. This is Gestalt shit is stuff you learn in art school, 100%.
Yeah, I never heard it referenced under that way, but it really is like so. In the 4th and 5th grade, we went over the elements and principles of art, and
it's the same shit.
Yeah, exactly. Some of them are like contain some of these ideas, but it's like it's your perception. It's your what is it
I'll read through them. I've heard them mixed up quite a bit. I remember our high school art teachers just covering it, but then I know in college, in design, they're often called like the Gestalt design principles, and people interchange some of the terms, but the basic list is the principle of proximity, how close or far things are from each other, the principle of closure, whether you leave a shape or line, whatever, open or closed, the principle of similarity, if you have repeating aspects, elements, that kind of thing, principle of continuity, just to get things to continue to flow. You don't want too many breaks in closure or you lose continuity. Principles of perception, that's how you get perspective, those types of things. Principles of organization, how you structure things. And the principle of symmetry, which is probably my favorite element.
Well, you fuck with symmetry a lot.
Hell, I used to. Here's the thing. If you get too into, I'm into the mirror world, bro. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. It's a thing. I like behind mirrors.
That glass.
Exactly. It's bizarre world. But if you do too much symmetry, you lose specific elements. So the trick is to do mostly symmetry and then use your principle of organization or closure, whatever, to break apart some aspects so you have slight asymmetry. And there's got to be a specific term for mostly symmetrical but with asymmetrical elements, but that's
called asymmetric.
I guess, but
just being a dick. I know what you mean. I think there is a term for that,
but I feel like it's such a stronger design principle or style. I don't know.
Semi-symmetric.
Yeah, semi-symmetric.
I just made that up. That might not be right.
It's perfect.
It describes it perfectly. So the term illusion refers to a specific form of sensory distortion, unlike Jesus, fuck.
Excuse me, Jesus, would you quit your fucking? We're recording here. Jesus, fuck.
The term illusion refers to a specific form of sensory distortion. Unlike a hallucination, which is a distortion in the absence of a stimulus, an illusion describes a misinterpretation of a true sensation. For example, hearing voices regardless of the environment would be a hallucination, whereas hearing voices in the sound of running water or another auditory source would be an illusion.
I don't know if I fully agree with their wording on some of that, but I really...
No, leave it in. I think I know what you're trying to say. I feel like they word it a little crudely and a little simple, but I understand what they're saying that, remember the dream I told you about where someone opened their mouth and out of their mouth came the ticket printer sound, the kitchen ticket printer sound?
Yeah.
Like that would, like when you're hearing, like if you turn on your tap water and you hear voices, it sounds like voices coming out of it. That's an illusion that your brain made. But if just out of like you're chilling in your kitchen or whatever without stimulus, and then you hear voices, that's a hallucination.
Yeah, well, I think
It's not coming from a source or mixed with a source.
I think part of what I was trying to get at is like this is in relation to the concepts of illusion and not specifically mental illness, because schizophrenia is something I feel very passionate about or feel like I understand, and I think sometimes the hallucination itself is the stimuli. Like I think these definitions don't always like reflect
I see what you mean
accurately on some mental illness stuff. But I think the comment about the voices in the water, like how the stimuli blending into the change is very interesting. Like we were talking the other one, our last episode, about like hearing voices with anxiety, where it's like, it's kind of the illusion and not the hallucination. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just got reminded of actually an illusion that we used to have. We used to think there was a cricket living in our kitchen. When I first got to like my last job, when I first got there, they would, like occasionally underneath the one of the grills on one of the cooler with the drawers in it, it would kind of make cricket noises. They're like, oh, that's just the cricket. I don't know. It lives in there, I guess. I don't know what the fuck it eats, but it's been there since I started. And it's like, all right, like, cool. And then I looked at it like the next day, and it was just a screw that needed to be tightened. And it was a vibration of one of the, when that condenser was running, it was vibrating one of the walls of the thing. It just needed to be tightened a little bit.
They all thought it was a cricket for like
They all thought it was a great. I mean, it sounded just awesome. Like it, and they told me that, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of weird that it's just down there, and like every now and then you'd hear it." And
that's an excellent example.
Yeah.
A
visual illusion or optical illusion is characterized by visually perceived images that are deceptive or misleading. Therefore, the information gathered by the visual sense is processed to give, on the face of it, a perception that does not tally with the information from other senses or physical measurement.
Is it a duck or a woman?
Is it two people about to kiss, or is it a lamp?
Or is there a rabbit in the skull?
Oh, man. It's classic.
Classic. Straight Rorschach shit.
A conventional assumption is that there are physiological illusions that occur naturally and cognitive illusions that can be demonstrated by specific visual tricks that say something more basic about how human perceptual systems work. The visual system, the eye and the brain, constructs a world outside of our head based on what it samples from the surrounding environment. A world inside of our head based on what it samples from the surrounding environment. However, sometimes it tries to organize this information. It thinks best, while at other times it fills in the gaps. This way in which our brain works is the basis of the illusion.
It's like we got a shitty DJ up there sampling shit.
Just drop that fill in anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. For better or worse, our brains are really good at recognizing patterns. All the conspiracy theories about like the man on the moon, like the faces and that, and there's like the pyramids and all that shit on the moon. Those are always really funny. People like our brains see it and it wants to fill in that information right away. Or Jesus on the burnt toast. That's always fun. Oh my
God.
So good. Without conscious thought, our mind recognizes patterns and tries to complete them into something we understand better. This is in part why it can be so wonderfully trippy when we are truly deceived by a mind-bending illusion.
Hell yeah.
I'm not positive if this is true, but I had one of my buddies has told me that this effect is like the residual from our ancient survival mechanisms. We learn to see patterns. We're specifically really good at recognizing shiny shit, just like fucking crows or birds, whatever, because we needed to spot the reflections of water from the distance, right?
Right.
Like
yeah,
being
absolutely.
able to see that shine on water could mean life or death.
Yeah, the ability to recognize faces out of like, you know, in the, what is that called? The popcorn ceiling. Like
Yeah.
that comes from trying to spot, you know, predators in the wild and shit.
Definitely. I always did staring at like tiles or wood, like wood wall stuff. I did that way more than like clouds.
I picture you just staring at like blank white tiles and trying to find faces in the blank white tiles.
Dude, I spent so much. I would love to know how many hours I've spent just looking at, like, did you do that a lot as a kid?
Oh, absolutely. I think, was it on here? We talked about, I think it might have been a freestyle where we said, I was saying like, when's the last time you seen a face or seen something in the clouds?
Yeah.
And like, I realized one day that like I hadn't like looked and seen something in the clouds in a long time. I haven't like, didn't try. And I looked up at the clouds and I was like, I see clouds. I don't see things. And it made me mad. But I think the more you do it and the more you look for it, the more you're going to find it.
Yeah, your brain stays engaged in that. I love letting you do that thing where you focus and then you let your eyes slowly unfocus. I will say one of the things I miss the most, I wasn't ever big on psychedelics. Like, people that are way into psychedelics are normally lame as shit, right? Like, cool people do heavy drugs, right? Mm-hmm. But you got to throw some mushrooms, a little acid in every now and again, a little DMT. I miss having more easily accessible tracer vision stuff. Like, I miss being able to more easily let things get drippy. But like, if I just chill for a while and like stare at some stuff, it'll swirl. You know what I mean? It's mostly your imagination. It's the illusion.
That actually reminds me. So apparently, I should have put this in the honorable mentions, but Detroit just decriminalized psychedelics.
It's a step in the right direction.
It is a step in the right direction. I'm trying to get on that microdosing tip.
We'll talk.
Yeah.
I don't think you need it.
I mean, I think it would be cool.
But a microdose.
Maybe I don't need it, but maybe I join a trial as a.
It won't help. You won't get much out of it on a microdose. Like if anything,
I'm not trying to trip balls.
I know, but like a true microdose is so small. The people it helps the most are very damaged, and it kind of functions similar to an antidepressant.
Well, then I just want to get some mushrooms and get fucked.
Yeah, you would just. And people might still call it a microdose, but you would just need a little bit more than you'd kind of be between dosing and microdosing kind of thing. I don't know. It's weird that it's becoming acceptable. I'm very interested in the ketamine treatments as well. Oh, anyway, I could talk about drugs all night. If
I could do some mushrooms and look at some Escher, some MC Escher work. That's some illusionary shit. That was one of the first. I think I talk about Escher a lot, but like I really, that was the artist that got me like really focused in art. Like I liked to draw stuff before, but when I saw Escher's work, and it was even after I'd seen Salvador Dali's work before then, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. But it was Escher's like the ultra realism, but also the bending of reality. Yeah. In physics is like that fucked me up in a way that was like, oh, this is really neat. And because I got really into them, my art teacher told me about trompe l'oeils.
Real quick. Do you remember the first time you saw an Escher? Because that was a thing for me too. It changed what I thought art could be.
It was the first one I ever saw, that I remember was, the continuous stairs. I forget what the fucking piece is called.
I know it. Yeah.
But everyone's seen it. I think if you haven't, you're living under a rock.
Terminally online.
Terminally online. That was probably the first one I saw, and it was before I realized who Escher was. It wasn't until fourth grade. Dude, the art funds teacher in elementary at SCPA was really good.
I've heard that.
Shouts out to Miss Young. She did her own like really surrealistic art and stuff off, in her own time.
Any art teacher should be an actual artist like that.
Oh yeah. She did like whole installations of like,
cool.
like upside down, like dismantled pianos and shit. I think is a memory I have. Is really wild shit. But she was the one that told me about trompe l'oeil and like how it's like just ultra realism to the point where like you could like feel like you could just reach out and touch a thing. And sometimes it was like really small things that would be like painted on other objects or, something. And it would just look so real that it doesn't matter if it's just a painting. It looks like it's a thing there.
Yeah. Some of these new high def HD style painters are just absurd.
Yeah.
The ultra realism. I forget, there's a couple different terms. I've heard it as ultra realism.
The photorealism and
But yeah, that are you familiar with Marilyn Minter?
No.
She does some really cool stuff. She did not Beyonce, Madonna, some stuff for Madonna the last couple years.
I have seen her work before.
I thought they were photographs.
Yeah.
It's just, it's all blurry and stuff. Like, it's very highly stylized, but it's so ultra realistic at the same time. But there's some really great, like, traditional, straight ultra realism stuff. I hadn't heard that term, though. How do you say it? Trompe
l'oeil.
Trompe l'oeil. The first time I saw Escher was at the doctor's office as a kid. And it, honestly, it was a very unpleasant experience. It's like, this is weird. Don't touch me, doctor. I want to take off my pants.
It's put there so that it distracts you into a false sense of it's like a hypnotic thing.
Yeah. God, so that was the worst as a kid, waiting for the doctor with no pants on. That shit's so fucking whack, isn't it?
I never had to do that.
What do you mean? They're always like, take your pants off. You're sitting in your boxers and they have you sit on that table that's so high your legs can't touch the ground.
How old are you talking about?
Like when you're like 10.
Dude, I never had to do that.
All right. Don't make it creepy. It's a thing.
I'm just saying.
They do it as an adult too. Like they just need to it's like a basic physical.
Okay. There's like one instance in which, the physical exams I've ever had where like the doctor was in the room and it wasn't like take off your pants and sit on the table. Yeah. It was just, all right, drop your pants down just a little bit, just enough that he could do his checkup. And then it was immediately back up.
Yeah, I know, but you're just sitting. It's more the wait period. It's just so
there wasn't
awkward.
a wait period. It was
They make me wait an hour.
Just sitting in a room.
Just staring at Escher.
They got a camera in there, and they're like, we're waiting for him to notice, and he hasn't seemed to notice yet.
This kid really likes art. Dude, my dentist always had the Find the Toothbrush posters. Like it was a Where's Waldo kind of thing. Yeah. I knew where every fucking toothbrush was.
Oh, I knew where them fuckers were.
Dude, I threw up like the first 5 times I went to the dentist as a kid. I would just be so anxious. I just would throw up in the waiting room.
Man, I'm trying to think of there is an artist I follow that deserves a shout out.
Do it.
I'll have to find him.
Trippy
when
guy?
I'm not about to read a thing, but it's like ultra realism, like paintings, and they're like huge paintings. But he does different stuff with like texture and stuff like that. That's really good. He does these portraits. He does like a whole series. It's portraits of these women in nudes, but they have like honey dripped on them.
Yeah. I know you.
It's really, really cool the way that they're able to make that texture, that consistency come across as realistic.
Part of the trick for most of those artists is to work big. It makes such a difference to work big, in part because when it's downsized digitally, it really helps complete the illusion. But all the ultra def painting, all that stuff, it's really like the opposite of like stippling work. What's not Monet, right? The dots.
What about Monet?
Monet, all the dots, stippling.
Oh, pointillism and shit, or the impressionism shit.
Yeah, it's like the opposite. Like that style of art relies on the illusion of like from far away, all the dots create something bigger. But yeah, it's the opposite.
The artist's name is Mike Dargis.
Okay. I wouldn't have had that one.
He did one that was he's got another series. It's a woman with like a metallic foil around her head.
That's cool.
And on her, and it comes across really well.
I'm a big fan of foil.
Yeah. Trump foil.
Tin foil's dope as fuck. You can do
tin foil's cool as shit, man.
So versatile.
It makes dope helmets.
You can smoke with it. You can wrap up leftovers. You can do just about anything with that shit.
Goddamn right. Man, tinfoil saved the day a few times.
For sure. Yeah, back to illusions.
All right. So tactile illusions. So these are illusions like phantom limb or the thermal grill illusion, cutaneous. Why can I not? Cutaneous. Jesus fuck! I couldn't say that word.
Like a cutaneous perineal cyst, which is what I coded at work today.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, pretty gross.
The cutaneous rabbit illusion and curious illusion that occurs when the crossed index and middle fingers are run along the bridge of the nose with one finger on each side, resulting in the perception of two separate noses.
It's the worst example of an illusion ever.
I mean, it's one that you can do at home.
I guess if you want to pretend your nose is two noses.
It's a lack of a want. More of just oh, cool, this is a thing.
I couldn't believe that this article put that as an example. I thought it was so funny we had to keep it.
Yeah. The brain areas activated during illusory tactile perception are similar to those activated during actual tactile stimulation. Tactile illusions can also be elicited through haptic technology. These illusory tactile objects can be used to create virtual objects.
Those last couple sentences were wild. It reminds me of the, not the VR. We just did the whole episode on the technology. Volumetric capture. Yes, reminds me of, dude. Have you seen? I feel like we talked about it in one of the times we talked about body mod stuff. But there were tactile like body suits, and it was like a modification system where you wear this fake skin, and it was like a frog skin, but it was like high fashion. Mm-hmm. But they had different like bubbles that would like grow. Like you could have it set up for temperature or like Wi-Fi or whatever, like where you feel the change in what you're wearing as if it's your own skin based on environmental changes. Like you could have a throat bubble. Like it had like, there was this artist that made these suits, and like it was like a silicone skin, but it had haptic feedback technology to environmental changes. So if you went into like a warmer room, certain bubbles in the skin suit would inflate or deflate, so you felt changes like that.
Oh wow,
so cool.
I know there's a lot that they're doing with that with people that are amputees and such, to like give them back their sensory, abilities.
Have you felt, I know neither of us are amputees, but like any phantom sensation stuff?
No. I've gotten like I've had the opposite where my fucking, foot goes to sleep.
I remember way back in the day, because I had a few pieces on art about it. Mm-hmm. I know we've had this conversation before, but I used to have this like series of reoccurring nightmares where like I was holding this hand that was someone else's, and I would wake up and like the rest of, like I was having sleep paralysis at the time too. So it felt like I was holding this person's hand, and then when I woke up, for like the rest of the day, like the nerves in my hand felt like I was holding something that wasn't there.
I've had that for like just a couple minutes after waking up.
Yeah. That's definitely how it is. But that feeling is so convincing. Yeah. Right? It's so odd.
Very, very fucking weird.
Yeah. One of these illusions, the thermal grill illusion, was kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's a sensory illusion originally demonstrated in 1896 by a Swedish physician, Torsten Thunberg. The illusion is created by an interlaced grill of warm and cool bars. When someone presses a hand against the grill, they experience the illusion of burning heat, despite that half of the grill pieces were cold instead. It's kind of... There's something with hot and cold, particularly our brain gets confused with too. Like the input's very easily diverted or whatever, or misinterpreted.
Yeah, it's, to protect you and shit.
Yeah. I love zebras, stripes. It's so cool. Like, there was a recent Netflix one on an animal documentary about animals and color, and it was like different types of vision and how they would use different. That was really good. But they spent some time on zebras, and it's so awesome how like zebras have their stripes so they can blend in as like a bigger shape with all the other zebras. So it's like this, a lot of animals' vision can't interpret it as easy. So it's like a big swarming shape that's going to kick them in the face.
That's pretty fucking cool. It's such a wild, that was always something I tried to figure out as a kid. Like why those colors? 'Cause it just seems so off.
I think black and white, like checkered tiles, Escher, illusion shit. I think it's just because it's the maximum contrast you can have between two colors. So to me, it feels like it's more work to go back and forth between them for your eyes.
It's like trying to upload a super high res. There was a video I watched of mercury on top of like tin, and it was like on
tin
one
foil.
of those like yeah exactly, tinfoil. Back to the topic. They put like sound behind it, and it was exploding and bouncing and shit.
Yeah, like
and it was like the camera wasn't like, it fucking hated it. And then when they uploaded it to YouTube, it looked even shittier.
That's so cool though. I saw there's a big like science meets music like population online, and there's like different DJs or musicians, and they're making these like vats, or kind of like the Beeble thing, like a liquid version of that, where it's like a screen or like a big jar of sorts. But they put in like a bunch of a clear liquid and then a bunch of a dark colored liquid to contrast it. And it's like electrically charged to dance to their music kind of thing.
Oh, that's cool.
Using like whether it's electricity or different chemical reactions. Like it's like a real animation thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So cool. But I also, chameleons always come to mind.
That wild color camouflage shit, like octopuses and shit.
Masters of the game.
Yeah.
The ultimate spies of the animal world. Peacocks. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
They're so
wild ass animal.
Now, I love me a peacock, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're dirty birds, right? And I think peacocks are a little overhyped.
Maybe? I don't know. I mean, like,
they're not that pretty.
I think they're really pretty.
That green?
I mean, you put them next to like any other bird.
There's some pretty birds. The albino peacocks.
Those are I think those are like the straight white ones.
Yeah, I just don't like green. It looks too like a fir tree kind of deal.
I don't know. I think they're pretty cool.
I didn't realize. Do we have butterflies in here still?
In the podcast?
Yeah, there. I had a little segment on butterflies, but the monarchs are.
Oh yeah, you do. You got it right here.
Oh, beautiful. We'll come back to the monarch butterfly they have a lot of butterflies have the big spots because it looks like eyes. That's one theory on it. But the monarch specifically, they collect toxic chemicals that stay in the tissue of its wings. So if certain animals try to eat them, they'll get sick, or it's just unpleasant to be at the least. But there are other butterflies, like the viceroy butterfly, which mimics their patterns just so other animals don't eat it. It's so cool.
That is really neat. That's that natural selection thing.
Straight up, yeah. And mimicry, right?
Yeah. Yeah, mimicry is fairly common in the animal kingdom. When mimicry is done in such a way as to look like a species that is unpalatable, it's known as Batesian mimicry.
Yeah.
It's such a wild concept in general, like to know, like, oh, this is working. Like, they're not eating them. What can we do? Like that at such a base instinctual level to look at that and to evaluate that problem, and then through breeding and natural selection, through that they have also acquired this trait that is not their own.
Right, positive traits through deception. There was I forget what other bird. There's a bird that does it where they their parents like kick them out like at a young age, so they learn to mimic a different breed of birds that look similar, and they sneak into their nests. And
I know what you're talking about. They're
fed by those mothers, and the only like noticeable difference when they're little chicklets are like the spots in its throat, and they just eat the worms from the other birds. It's so cool. I love that stuff.
Cuckoos do that. I think there's another one that does. Cowbirds.
Those damn cowbirds.
They're called brood parasites.
Oh, that's a good term.
That is cool.
Pick a favorite bird.
A favorite bird. That's really hard. I think ravens probably take the cake, but owls are really close.
You're on an owl kick lately.
I've always liked owls. Well, not always, but I've liked owls for a long time. And the thing is, they're incredibly, like, they're the gnarliest hunting bird. They're fucking terrifying. They fly silently. They hear in 3 dimensions. Did
they do any mimicry or illusion stuff by chance? I don't think they do.
Not that I know of.
They're just like straight, like, stealth predator.
Yeah. They're not super intelligent.
Really?
No, they're just extremely talented. They're, people have the thing about, oh, they're very wise, but like really, they're not really smart birds.
And elephants aren't smart birds either.
Damn right.
I have to go with vultures, I think.
Vultures are also cool.
They're like cockroaches. They're my people. We always survive, right? We'll eat the bones of our enemies if we have to, but we'll find food.
But I think I like ravens because, one, they're cool as fuck. I didn't realize how big they were until we had a couple living outside of our. They nested outside of my old place of work, and they would come down and like. There's a puddle in the back, of our building that was like fed by the rainwater from the roof. It was like always a puddle there. And they would like be, giving themselves a bath. But they're fucking big ass birds.
They're drawn to that water shine.
Yeah. And they're so smart. You can actually, they can speak like parrots do. And they can like make stuff, and like they have cognitive like problem solving skills and shit.
That landscape. Hey, Aline, if you hear this, I love your yard so much. And they always had blue herons there.
Oh,
so
yeah.
like every year we'd have to put up the nets around the pond. The herons are so cool.
Yeah, herons, they're fucking gorgeous birds.
Yeah.
Well, I took my grandfather out for kayaking once, and
That's a great sentence.
Yeah, it took. Well, we went canoeing because it was his canoe, and he hadn't gotten to use it in a long time, and we went out, and the idea was to go see the manatees in the bay down there in Florida.
Oh, you're in Florida. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
And we didn't end up coming upon any, but we did see like a ton of other animals. Fucking crocodile up on the side of the bank, and then we had a dolphin that was like flipping around in the bay, just completely acting a fool. It was cool to watch. And then there was just as we're pulling back in, we kind of slowed down, and we were like kind of getting closer up to an island, and we were watching this bird that was sitting up in a tree on this little island and the thing. So, but as we kind of got closer, it took off and like swooped down right next to us, and like, you know, like eye level, you know, maybe like less than 10 feet away, swooped down and like kind of, you know, landed in the water and chilled there. And I was like, sorry, we didn't get to see any manatees. Like, are you joking? Like, this was one of like the coolest fucking, you know, canoe rides I've ever been in.
Hell yeah.
Bird like all the different, bird up, man. All the different wildlife we saw.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Anyways, illusions. It was all an illusion.
Got him. Check your watch. I have your wallet.
I have your wallet. That was tactile illusions, temporal illusions.
Ooh, this is the one I struggle with.
Yeah, this one's a real one. So temporal illusions a distortion in the perception of time, which occurs when the time interval between two or more events is very narrow, typically less than a second. In such cases, a person may momentarily perceive time as slowing down, stopping, speeding up, or running backward.
AKA brain damage.
Yeah.
I got this trick down, bro. I just don't believe in time. I don't think it's what other people think it is.
I believe, it may not be exactly the same, but it's one of those like time flies when you're having fun things. Like, it's not, you know, maybe not what they're referring to here, but it's, yeah, you know, like I've definitely had those moments at work where it's like, you know, I get there and I start setting up and everything, and then, you know, service is starting and the first couple hours go by and it's like, oh shit, that was really fast. And then the next hour after that feels like it's, you know, at least as long. Like it feels like it's been 3 hours, but it's only barely been an hour. And you're like, how the fuck did that happen?
See, that's that flow state shit we were talking about.
Yeah.
Like you're able to get into it heavy at first, and then it starts taking a toll. Like it gets harder to stay in it. Time slows back down. It's wild.
Yeah. Fucking time, man.
Time. So disorders?
Yeah. So some illusions occur as a result of an illness or a disorder. While these types of illusions are not shared with everyone, they are typical of each condition. For example, migraine sufferers often report fortification illusions and auras, which is some real shit.
Dude.
When I was 11, maybe it was 10 or 11 years old, I got my first migraine, and I got an aura beforehand. And I was chilling in my computer room with my friend. I was alone. I was chilling in the friend is relevant to the story. I was chilling by myself, and I started seeing like, it was like I couldn't see out of the corner of my eye. It was like in my peripheral vision, there was like a blank spot. And I kind of like, you know, like when you get a picture taken with a flash and there's that kind of flash thing, but it was like, except there wasn't anything there. It was just static. And as I kind of moved my head, I realized like, it's not just because of light, like it's just there, and I can like move my eyes and like look around and it's still there. And I went and told my mom, and she knew what it was. And within an hour or so, like my head was just pounding and I was sick to my stomach. It was like fucking terrible. And my friend had come to the door, I guess, and my mom had to like tell him like, no, he's down for the count. Like he was not in any place to fucking play right now.
Did the auras get brighter, or like did they glow anymore? Do you have any stuff like that?
It kind of grew.
Yeah.
And
Angel vision. It's like somebody photoshops your perspective and turns the soft glow up 40%. It's angel vision.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. For anyone that also gets those, I found that if you take a bunch of ibuprofen, for me, you know, like
Caffeine.
Yeah, well, caffeine too, but like electrolytes. Hydrate yourself heavily. My doctor, I mean, my pediatrician at the time was like, give them 3 ibuprofen and chug at least a 32-ounce thing of Gatorade.
Yes,
and yeah, it works.
Do you have to be in the darkness? I always have to do that.
Yeah, and when I get migraines like that, like it hurts the like it's usually on the back of my head, and that area is connected to your visual, you know, your corneal, you know, your eyes, you know. So when when I have that, like even when I close my eyes and I'm in the darkness, it still like hurts my eyes.
Yeah.
But definitely any the light sensitivity is like unreal.
When you hurt your leg back in the day, did you ever have to take gabapentin?
No.
It's a nerve pain medication. It's like, it's supposed to work similar to an opiate, but without any euphoria. It just like cuts off nerve pain.
That sounds like it might be cool.
You can get a little something out of it. It's not like a fun drug to get fucked up on it, but you can get a little something out of it. But
I
it's
meant
more
cool in the way that it's something that's really helpful, not something that you get high on.
It's very helpful. Like it's big for like amputation stuff, cancer. Like when my dude got shot, they give it to you because like you have so much nerve pain. It's more effective at actually blocking nerve, like real pain than opiates don't really help with pain. They just mask it by getting you high, right?
Yeah.
So gabapentin, for whatever reason, on large doses, you get auras and like shiny vision. And if you take a bunch of it, it's like you're thinking like totally normal, but you're like kind of goose stepping on clouds and you got the shiny vision. Everything's like angel mode. And you bump into things and knock things over at the weed store. I was buying a bunch of grow lights, and I almost knocked over this like $2,000 light bulb. And I was like, oh my God, got to get out of here.
Yeah, that's not a place to be.
Cloud tripping.
Cloud tripping.
I have some note here that says, and no 2 schizos are going to see the same black helicopter. But I don't know why I wrote that.
You know, because, you said a mental illness or disorder. We were talking about the mental illness or disorder. Yeah. It's going to be different, but it's, you know.
Yeah. But
everyone's seen them black helicopters, right? You know, we all know what it is, what it's all about.
It really is one of the most common. They say, like, certain drugs, like speedy ones like coke, you're afraid of the cops. Meth, you run to them.
Yeah.
And there's something like helicopters paranoid. But everyone has their own, like just the same way everyone has their own unique vision of God or heaven, whether you're religious or not. You hear it, these ideas all your life, and you picture something the same way, right? And you like build a version of it in your head. And it's the same way with like different illusions, right? We all build these images differently, make weird little tricks for ourselves. Yeah, man, it's one of the weirdest phenomenons of being a human is illusions. You know, it's you know, like we said earlier, it's your brain filling in a gap that's not, you know, something that's not there that it needs to, or it's you know, just a perception skill that your brain has, and it is a skill, but it's, you know, it's just falsifying things to make something that's not there. Imagine if our brain didn't do that. Like, it's like a desperate
We would have died
need.
out a long time ago.
Yeah, but I guess I don't know.
And the world would flourish.
The world would flourish. But it's so interesting how, like, even when we don't need to understand what we're seeing, our brain needs to. Like, we can't, like, cope with not understanding something to the point where we'll make shit up, you know?
Yeah.
It's fun. I like being tricked. It always feels good.
Yeah, it depends on the context.
You don't like getting tricked on?
I like a good magic trick. Oh, I'm sorry. Tricks are what whores do for money.
There we go. We got it. Thank you,
it.
Joe. Would you like a Bluth bananas?
I sure would.
Dude.
Double dipped.
Oh my god. I've been eating frozen bananas all week because we haven't gone shopping in a month. I'm getting desperate. I'm going through the freezer. I'm finding those old frozen bananas.
Them old freezer burn ass bananas.
So burnt, but the core of the banana stays good. It's worth the work. It's a lot of work, but you get some old Nutella, and you make a banana mash with Nutella.
I've been working on the cupboard snacks too lately. Just like all the extra the canned food and shit. It's like the fuck I got to go to the grocery store for. I got cans of green beans and I think I got some ramen packs. I got some rice and shit. I was thinking about this too. I think this might be a cool thing. I've always wanted to do some kind of like a cooking tutorial kind of thing for like basic shit. Like not like really gourmet shit, but like how to turn shit that like you should always have in your cupboard. Like everyone's always got like that can of beans or, you know, like some dumb shit, and turn it into something that's dope and gourmet.
Chef
like,
Richard's Hood recipes.
Right. It's like, even if it's like, here's things like with $15, here's everything that you should stock your pantry with. And you should always have at all times, so that in the event that like you got someone coming over and you got to make dinner for Shorty, like you got to get, you know, you need at least these things. And if you have a starch, a vegetable, and a protein, you're set. You're in the clear.
We will record your cooking YouTube channel one of these days.
Dude, that'd be fucking great. Once I get my kitchen island, I'm down to do it.
And we'll feature a different cat in every episode.
Yep, we'll bring over. We'll partner with a shelter,
A nearby pound.
Yeah, just, hey, we need to borrow this cat for a minute.
Just cooking for homeless cats. Write it off as charity work. Put it to our business account for the podcast.
That's right. For all of our podcast expenses.
I can't wait till we get company credit cards. Just to see what each other charges on it.
There's no money in this account. You're both way in debt. I don't know what your credit score is, but it's about to drop.
How many cats do you guys have?
We returned the cats.
Replaced them with raccoons.
Oh, God damn it.
We're never going to get through this episode.
Yeah, we'll get there. How long are we running? We're doing all right.
Are we?
Yeah, we're good. So now we're going to get on to one of the greats, one of the masters of illusions. That's known throughout time. So one of the most common things that comes to mind when people mention illusions is magic tricks. Of course, we've mentioned it millions of times or 100 times already. There's a lot of different kinds of magic tricks, but the primary objective nearly every time is to deceive the viewer, or at least distract them while the real magic happens out of sight.
Now, real quick, are you a card-carrying member of the Magician's Alliance?
I am not.
I'm sending a card and an application to your Illusionary magic is oftentimes more flashy and showy. There is a performance being done that directs your attention in a way that the magician wants it to go. Simple examples include something shiny or bold in color, assistants in skimpy outfits, pyrotechnics, anything that draws your focus away from the fact that the magic being done is a trick.
A surprising way of creating a distraction is by creating tension, which is often used by escape artists. While there are some people who can physically escape certain restraints due to flexibility and other natural skill, there are almost always an illusionary act to entertain an audience.
It's pretty wild how, like, so much of it deals with the suspension of disbelief, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing like watching something fantasy or sci-fi. Like, when you're willing to, like, put aside your disbelief for a second and engage in the fantasy, like, just by that simple, like, mental, like, change of perspective, it allows you to enjoy it, but also to be fooled. Like, I feel like I don't get to enjoy a lot of magic stuff because I'm so cynical. Like, I know it's bullshit. I think it's really fun, but I'm more interested in, like, the sleight of hand or, like, the talent part of it that I have trouble letting go, suspending my disbelief, and then just enjoying it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Too cynical.
We've both said that we enjoy, like, even like when you know how someone does the performance, it doesn't lessen the performance. It's like if anything, it's like, wow, look at the shit that they're doing. You know?
Right. Like, I still can't tell how he did it. His craft is that defined. It's like,
you know, you can see how, like, even if like, oh, they, replace this at this point by, they move this thing to this pocket or this hand or something. But it's like the fact that they did that while also putting on this performance, this, charismatic act, it's such an underrated, art. It's wild.
Now, real quick, what a side note. Hypnotists, right?
Mm-hmm.
That shit, I strongly believe you cannot be hypnotized unless you're willing. I think there's a lot of powerful applications, therapeutic things you can do, ways you can learn about yourself, but, like, the people clucking on stage as a chicken, like, they're fucking idiots. They wanted that to happen. There's no way anyone will ever hypnotize me.
Isn't that all? No, that's all like a huge act, isn't it? Like, all the people doing that are involved. Oftentimes,
but I from what I understand, people that are very talented at it, when they have very what's the word I just almost said, susceptible.
Yeah.
Like, people to work with, if they're weak-minded or just really are enjoying it or want to be the focus of attention, they want to be in on the performance, fun, whatever, they're already altered, whatever, they can be controlled to an extent, but it's only because they're willing.
Yeah.
There's no way either of us are getting hypnotized by anyone sober.
Right. Yeah.
No way.
I've never, I had
scopolamine.
I had a thing. I saw a therapist when I was young, and I don't even remember why. It might have just been like general anxiety or stress or like depression symptoms. Excuse me. Just had to die off camera or off the microphone real quick.
Hypnotist.
Yep. That was what they hypnotized me to do. Every time I talk about the hypnotism, they did that. But it was like, they recorded a thing. They like did the hypnotism thing, and it was like, they made a recording of it, and then like on like a tape, and then I, was supposed to like play the tape at home so I could like redo it. And I don't even remember why. I don't think I ever did it. And it never really worked anyways to like put me under. It was just very relaxing.
Yeah, that's different. There's definitely probably some bad therapists who get way too caught up in their own bullshit, but like they might call that a form of hypnotism, but that's really something else.
Now I wonder, maybe the thing that I was going to therapy for, I don't remember it now because the hypnotism.
He blanked you out.
Yeah, it completely blocked it.
They put you in the sunken place, and they said, you're going to love raccoons and make a shitty podcast 20 years from now.
Oh, man.
They got you.
They got me.
All right.
Were you my therapist, Dr. Professor Steven?
I'm also a time bender.
You set that up years in advance.
It's taken a lot of work to put this show together.
You dressed up like an old woman.
But we finally got here. So are you going to introduce our buddy?
Yeah, let's talk about
honorary Trashcat magician.
Yeah. Harry Houdini was a Hungarian-born artist, American escape artist, illusionist, and he was hungry boy and stunt performer.
that damn hungry-born American, hungry for illusions.
He worked too hard to be defaced on this podcast like this. He first attracted notice in vaudeville in the United States, and then as Harry Handcuff Houdini on a tour of Europe, where he challenged police forces to keep him locked up.
That's fun.
Yeah. Soon he extended his repertoire to include chains, ropes slung from skyscrapers, straitjackets underwater, and having to escape from and hold his breath inside a sealed milk can with water in it. Yeah,
I think the milk lockups were my first introduction to him. I was like, I have my uncle who's a clown / magician, and I thought magic was the coolest shit ever. But I wasn't like crazy about it, but then I stumbled across Houdini, and it was like, dude, that's like what started me down the path of like occult shit, weird shit. You know what I mean? It was just like one of the first times I had seen someone that was so successful. Like any adult I would blabber on about Houdini to would still like admire him, right? Like everyone thought he was cool, but he was so different than, all the people you're told to admire as a kid.
I might have to fact check this, but I think we went to go see Copperfield when I was a kid.
Yeah, I've seen him once.
It was a long time ago. It's obviously long enough ago that I really don't remember if it was just something that we watched on TV and I feel like I pictured myself in the crowd, or we actually were there. Like the Aronoff or something.
I kind of think Copperfield's a poser. He's no Houdini. One stuntman saw Houdini buried alive and was only just able to claw himself to the surface, emerging in a state of near breakdown. That's what makes him so amazing, is because a lot of it is just like pure strength of will. Like he did this shit. Yeah,
it's the escape artist shit. It's like real endurance shit.
Yeah. While many suspected these escapes were faked, Houdini presented himself as the scourge of fake spiritualists. As president of the Society of American Magicians, he was keen to uphold professional standards and expose fraudulent artists. He was also quick to sue anyone who imitated his escape stunts. So it's like he was doing real physical things. Granted, maybe there were times the escapes were like there was just a trick involved and he put on an act, but we know for a fact he really was doing these physical feats. And he, at the same time, while all the other people in his field were embracing the spiritualist shit, occult shit, psychic bullshit, he was adamantly against it. And that's just what makes him so fucking cool. He was the original skeptic, right? Before any of the skeptic communities online or the atheist movement, any of that shit, it was fucking Houdini.
I wonder if the Society of American Magicians, by the way, had any overlap with the Alliance of Magicians.
Well, I'm sure that's what they took it from, but there really is that magician place, the castle. That's fame. They have like a membership. It is like a like privileged thing to be a part of. I'm not sure if it's the same thing. I don't know. Houdini's just so fucking cool. Did you hear so the whole spiritualist thing that was going on at the time? Do you remember what it got kicked off by?
It was the fucking the fairy pictures, right?
Yes. It's just so fun. It was like the one of the earliest times where basically someone photoshops a picture and it goes viral in the real world, right? Like
Photoshop before Photoshop.
Yeah, like these whoever the fuck it was taking photos of little miniatures in like poor lighting scenarios to look like garden fairies. Yeah. And these photos spread all over Europe and America, and people were believing this was proof of spiritual shit.
Well, back then, if you got it on camera, obviously it's real.
Yeah, like in House of a Thousand Corpses, the fish monkey or whatever. Do you remember?
Yeah.
There were all these people that would make these fake skeleton or like hybrid animal models and say they were real. There was the Cartiff giant. They would make fake skeletons of giants and tour them with circuses and stuff. Like
some real fucking Captain Spaulding shit, man.
Exactly. So during this period where all this shit is like hyped up and everyone wants to believe, like it was very like, you know, high culture artsy to like get into psychic or spiritual shit. There's Houdini who's doing it for real, and he's like, fuck this shit. I'm skeptical. I got some questions, and he was going to prove these people wrong. So here's an excellent little example of this from a story about Houdini calling out author of Sherlock Holmes, Arthur Sir Conan Doyle. You want this one?
Yeah. So Arthur Conan Doyle, like I said, he wrote the Sherlock Holmes detective series, which celebrated the triumph of reason and logic over superstition and magical thinking.
Watson.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Scottish writer did not apply those cognitive skills when it came to the spiritualism movement of the 1900s. He fell blindly for the Cottingley fairy photographs and regularly attended seances to make contact with family members who had died. His fame brought him into company with the greatest magician of his age, Harry Houdini, who didn't play that spiritual bullshit and invited the author to his home to demonstrate the point that it's all nonsense. So our boy sets up a full-scale reading and slate reading ensemble, and even had Conan Doyle examine pieces of it to show that there isn't any tricks involved with them. Houdini then asked this visitor to go down the street in any direction, take out a piece of paper and a pencil, write out a question or a sentence, put it back in his pocket, and return to the house.
Okay.
So Conan Doyle complied, scribbling "Mene mene tekel a person,"
many,
which is it's a riddle from the Bible's book of Daniel, meaning it has been counted and counted, weighed and divided.
Damn, that's actually kind of metal.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that in the next Jeezy song. Houdini then had him scoop up an ink-soaked ball in a spoon and place it against the tile, against the slate. And it momentarily stuck before slowly rolling across the face, spelling out M-E-N-E, and so forth until the phrase was completed, at which point the ball dropped to the ground.
All right, help me out. So Conan Doyle writes down a secret note. Harry Houdini, they're having like a fake seance of sorts, and he gets kind of like a Luigi board. He gets it to spell out the letters of his note.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, he gets it to spell out the thing that he wrote on a piece of paper and put in his pocket.
Gotcha.
So then afterward, Houdini told Conan Doyle, "Sir Arthur, I have devoted a lot of time and thought to this illusion. I won't tell you how it was done, but I can assure you it was pure trickery. I did it by perfectly normal means. I devised it to show you that what can be done along these lines. Now, I beg of you, Sir Arthur, do not jump to the conclusion that certain things you see are necessarily supernatural or the work of spirits, just because you cannot explain them." And despite this, Sir Arthur continued to believe that Houdini had psychic powers and spiritual connections that he employed in his famous escapes.
Damn. He called him out like a straight gangster, though, for real.
He did.
It's hardcore.
But it didn't really work.
Yeah. This problem is called the argument from ignorance. It must be true because it has not been proven false kind of argument, or something, or sometimes the argument from personal incredibility. I'm going to reread that. Secretary, mark the time. This problem is called the argument from ignorance. It must be true because it has not been proven false, or sometimes the argument from personal incredulity. Is that how you say it? Incredulity. Because I cannot imagine a natural explanation, there cannot be one. This is a product of a brain unsatisfied with doubt. As nature abhors a vacuum, so too does the brain abhor no explanation. That's a really cool line.
Yeah.
It creates one, no matter how unlikely. Then normal anomalies become paranormal. Natural phenomenon becomes supernatural. Identified flying objects become extraterrestrial spacecrafts, and chance events become conspiracies. Wow, that is like so on point for like QAnon, ghost shit, it's like so right on.
I mean, it's religion in a nutshell. It's you know, like it's the phrase I like. It's the shitty, you know, the atheism thing where they, you know, they have all you can like look up quotes and whatever, and that I did when I was like 10.
Yeah.
But one was why can't a garden be beautiful without there being fairies in it? Like, why can't you just have a beautiful thing without there being something else underneath that's, you know, that, you know, you can't perceive? It's a beautiful thing. Let it be a beautiful thing without there being, you know, all this trickery and nonsense to it.
Sometimes the normal things are the most special.
Yeah.
Just the simple things. We don't need fucking angels and fairies to make life not miserable.
So, I mean, that is more or less, though, the foundation that magic is built on. It's suspending your disbelief for the entertainment value.
Yeah. He was, he did so much different shit. Didn't he fly planes or some shit, too?
Yeah, he was the first man to fly a plane in Australia.
He's a regular Da Vinci, that man. That Houdini. We looked at a handful of his tricks. I really like the one with the mirror handcuffs.
Yeah, that's
cool.
Yeah, that's the one I'm going to talk about here.
Okay.
So this is really fucking wild. In 1904, the London Daily Mirror challenged Houdini to escape from special handcuffs, the mirror handcuffs, that it claimed had taken a locksmith 5 years to make.
Damn.
Houdini accepted the challenge for a matinee performance at the London's Hippodrome Theatre. It was reported that 4,000 people and more than 100 journalists turned out for the event. The attempt escape dragged on for over an hour, during which Houdini emerged from his ghost house, which was just a small screen he used to conceal his method of escape several times. On one occasion, he asked if the cuffs could be removed so he could take off his coat.
Real quick.
Yeah.
I gotta say, the Hippodrome Theater is a wonderful name. That is excellent. And also, as cool as what he does is, it's pretty crazy that many people are so bored they just want to watch a dude get out of handcuffs for an afternoon.
Yeah. Well, you know, they didn't have the internet.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's cool.
The Mirror representative, Frank Parker, refused, saying that Houdini could gain an advantage if he saw how the cuffs were unlocked. So Houdini promptly took out a penknife and, holding the knife in his teeth, used it to cut his coat from his body.
So hardcore.
Some 56 minutes later, Houdini's wife appeared on stage and gave him a kiss, and many think that her mouth was the key to unlock the special handcuffs. Shout out to the train passing by.
Shout out to all the homies on that train riding the rails to Crazy Town. Those are the homies.
However, since it's been suggested however, it has since been suggested that she did not, in fact, enter the stage at all, and that this theory is unlikely due to the size of the 6-inch key that went to the handcuffs.
Hey, maybe she's got a big mouth.
Maybe. Get the fucking Throatzilla over here.
Speaking in keys. Honey, I forgot my keys. Thanks, darling.
Houdini then went back behind the curtain, and after an hour and 10 minutes, Houdini emerged free. As he was paraded on the shoulders of the cheering crowd, he broke down and wept. Houdini later said it was the most difficult escape of his career.
Yeah, he was very passionate in his performances, and he often would get frustrated because he was always trying to push it. And oftentimes at great risk to himself. You know, that it's possible, like, some of the things he did were faked and it was just like a show, but people feel very confident that he was doing things that were physically possible but incredibly difficult, and he trained and worked very hard to make it possible.
Yeah.
After Houdini's death, which we're going to talk about in a moment, his friend Martin Beck was quoted in Will Goldstein's book, Sensational Tales of Mystery Men, as admitting that Houdini was bested that day and had appealed to his wife Bess for help. Interesting. Goldstein goes on to claim that Bess begged the key from the mere representative, then slipped it to Houdini in a glass of water. It was stated in the book The Secret Life of Houdini that the key required to open the specially designed mirror handcuffs was 6 inches long and could not have been smuggled to Houdini in a glass of water. Goldstein offered no proof of his account, and many modern biographers have found evidence, notably in the custom design of the handcuffs, that the mirror challenge may have been arranged by Houdini and that his long struggle to escape was purely showmanship, which is very interesting because even if that's true, he completes the illusion by setting it all up. You know,
I like that theory. That theory makes the most sense in line of like how, you know, it's a performance. Like and of course, you know, how upsetting would it be if 4,000 people showed up to see this performance and it's over in 5 minutes? He gave him a show. He cut off his fucking jacket with his teeth.
That's so cool. At this same time, there were a ton of like strongman stuff where they'd be doing shows and they'd be trying to bend steel bars and stuff. And it was always like, as a person in the crowd, that would be so amazing. But think about all the times where like the person legitimately wasn't strong enough to bend the metal. And you're just watching like a dude like, struggle. Like Houdini gave him a show. Yeah. You know, it was performance. He completed the illusion one way or another. I think my guess is he always was trying to find a way to physically do it. And we see this with magicians he inspired down the road, like David Blaine, right? That'll do like hunger stuff or go without air. And we know it's legitimate to some extent, right? But then like, if he was bested that day with the mirror cuffs, he had a backup plan. There's no way you're going to just fail all the way. So, I
dropped that part.
Oh, you just delete stuff as I read?
Yeah. No, it was, I realized that none of it was really important.
No, that's cool. I got pictures of replicas of the mirror cuffs that are really cool looking.
Oh, nice.
They look, it's not quite what you would like comes to mind. I mean, the replicas were shined up a bit, but they basically look like the British old handcuffs where it's like one bar with 2 loops and no chain. So you have like no room. It's like the type of thing you would try to enslave a person, not apprehend. Like, it's brutal.
It's fucked up.
Yeah. Should I pick up there?
Oh, I was going to say, he, you know, like we already talked about his spiritualism. I just think it's you know, just a wild thing that, you know, he goes through all this work to do all of these, you know, performances, and people would think that he had, you know, these spiritual, you know, the help from the spirit world and shit.
That would be so frustrating.
Yeah.
As the guy who's like the most boldly against it, and they're like, no, you can only do this because the devil.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. Oh, you know, we talked about the Texas abortion stuff going on.
Yeah.
The Temple of Satan, the new satanic temple thing. They're helping people. I don't know why Satan. That they're doing this thing where they're calling it satanic abortion rituals, and they're like becoming like like you can reach out to them if you're a woman who needs help in Texas to get around these laws. They're doing cool shit.
I did see something about that. The first it was like they're trying to help people get out of the state and stuff like that if they need to.
Yeah.
And
now they're finding a way to get it religiously exempt under the Church of Satan, which is
the Temple of Satan is doing God's work.
Yes. Amen. Amen, brother.
Amen. Hail Satan.
Hail Satan. Hail me. In the last years of his life, Houdini, who had once displayed open curiosity about spiritualism, a religious movement based on the belief that the dead could interact with the living, publicly invade against fraudulent... Invade? Is that a word?
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that word before. To go against?
Yeah.
Invade against fraudulent mediums who con grieving customers out of their money. A few months before his death, Houdini even testified before Congress, goddamn, in support of legislation that would have criminalized fortune-telling for hire and any persons pretending to unite the separated in the District of Columbia. Dude, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I don't think any spirit shit like today should be illegal, but I think there are often times where people, knowingly or unknowingly, who engage in those practices are defrauding people.
Yeah, I think there needs to be some kind of a
psychic regulation.
Yeah, some kind of a regulation on terminology. Just a
ministry of magic.
A ministry of magic.
I think we see
get goddamn Professor McGonagall in here.
Yeah.
It's really I mean, like, they have to do it so, like, fucking my brother and me does the haunted doll watch thing where they have, like, they find haunted dolls on eBay, and eBay has
funny.
Like specific rules that, like, when they post these haunted items, these supposedly haunted items, they have to put, in the thing that, like, that it's fictional and that, like, you can't expect there to be, you're not selling a spirit, you're selling it's a fucking doll.
The item the spirit is housed in. God. Dude, those people are so mentally ill. Like, it's just astounding. Imagine giving all your money to some fucking loser who reads a crystal and tells you your future.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing, is I used to be so interested in this shit. And, like, I think it's very interesting what you can learn or, like, discover about yourself or through someone else through the practice. But, like, there's so much shady shit involved. Like, it's unqualified, like, people with their own spiritual, mental, whatever problems.
Yeah.
Telling other people, it's just very predatory, whether it's intentional or not.
If you're bored another time, I'll send you a link in the Skype here, but definitely look up Haunted Doll Watch.
Okay.
They're all very fucking hilarious.
I'm gonna bim bam it up. Houdini had made a career out of surviving the impossible, which only made the circumstances of his 1926 death all the more mysterious. I remember the first time hearing about this and being like, damn. Crazy way for such a legend to go out. Mm-hmm. The 52-year-old performer, which it's pretty young for how much he accomplished, performed before a packed house in Detroit on October 24th, but was rushed to the hospital afterwards with an apparent case of appendicitis. He died just a week later on Halloween, leaving his legions of admirers bewildered. An obituary in the New York Times expressed shock at the sudden passing of the man who so often had seemed to be cheating the very jaws of death.
Houdini's final performance, the strange series of events that led to his demise had kicked off several weeks earlier on October 11th, 1926. 1926, while being shackled in his Chinese water torture cell during a performance in Albany, New York, the conjurer was struck on the leg by a piece of faulty equipment. He hobbled his way through the rest of the show, but was later found to sustained a fractured left ankle.
Ooh, that's not good for that trick, right?
No.
You're submerged, your feet are shackled, you're gonna die in a tank of Chinese water.
Drinking some water.
Against doctor's orders, Houdini continued his tour and traveled to Montreal, where he gave a lecture at McGill University just a day later on October 22nd. He invited some McGill students to visit him in his dressing room at the Princess Theater. That's a great name, too. I like these old theater names.
Yeah.
The magician's sore ankle was still bothering him, so he plopped down on a couch while the group chatted. At some point, a student named J. Gordon Whitehead. God,
fucking
they have his name. What a loser. J. Gordon Whitehead arrived and asked Houdini if it was true that he could resist hard punches to his abdomen, a claim the magician had supposedly made in public. According to Sam Smolvis, when Houdini said the rumors were true, Whitehead abruptly delivered 4 or 5 terribly forcible, deliberate, well-directed blows to Houdini's stomach. Houdini was still reclined on the couch and had no time to prepare for the punches, which appeared to leave him in considerable pain. What a douchebag.
What a piece of shit.
He's just like some local college student who's like, yeah, you're pretty cool. Wham!
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, can you take
dude.
Some punches? Yeah, bam! Fuck you.
Like, I let
yeah,
you
what a
back.
piece of shit.
And we all can picture someone like that.
Oh, yeah,
right?
we all know that guy.
It's such a douchebag guy thing to do. Like, you think you're tough,
Everybody
I'll
here
punch you.
knows that guy.
Oh, my God. What a douche.
So Houdini brushed off the incident at that time, but that same evening, he began to complain of discomfort and stomach cramps. His condition only worsened the next day when he boarded an overnight train to Detroit for a new run of performances. The magician developed severe abdominal pain, cold sweats, and fatigue, and his temperature rose to 104 degrees. A doctor suspected appendicitis and instructed Houdini to go to a hospital, but the performer insisted on taking the stage for his opening night at the Garrick Theater.
The show must go on.
Damn right.
He proceeded to struggle through his routine before collapsing immediately after the final curtain.
I thought I had heard that he had actually passed out during the performance too, and they revived him. They got him back up, and he was like, "I'm good," and kept going.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Harry Houdini was just 52 when he died on Halloween in 1926, succumbing to peritonitis caused by a ruptured appendix.
That's a painful way to go.
Because some fucking college dickhead punched him in the stomach.
I wonder if there were any lawsuits or criminal charges related. I'd imagine it's not necessarily that Houdini would want revenge on this person and is going to haunt Jay Whitehead. Yeah. But I mean, you did just fucking kill him.
Yeah. There was a thing there was every, so part of this might not be true. This is just something that I'd read before, that Houdini was so against the spiritualism movement. What still openly I guess maybe it doesn't mean it's not real. He said every day or every year on Halloween, on the anniversary of, I guess, when he was in the hospital, he was like, every year on the anniversary of my death, maybe it was his birthday, I forget, but he was like, when I die or after I die, try to do a seance and try to contact me. And if it's real, I'll contact you. And there was a coded phrase or some kind of message that only a couple people knew. And it was if you're able to contact me, then it's proof. And the family tried for years and years and years and never got him.
That's so cool, man. He's just gangster as fuck about it.
Yeah, man.
Well, so we wanted to talk about Houdini just because Houdini's awesome. Master of illusion, one of the best escape artists.
I think that's even how the outline started this week was going to be just a thing about Houdini and escape artists. Yeah, and
there were just so many cool little spin-offs and alleys to go down. So I feel like we got our hard information out of the way. We got you want to just explore some concepts for a bit? Jill?
Yeah, I'm down with that. Although just so you know, we're almost going on 2 hours now.
Want to do like 20, 30 minutes maybe?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Maybe. So, influences. We definitely see, I mean, Houdini inspired so many kids, adults, but we see his influence even in people like Chris Angel, Mind Freak. But later, like, David Blaine did some cool shit. Like, he's still cringy as fuck, but I think he gets the Trashcat blessing.
Yeah.
We'll allow David Blaine to perform for now. But what I really like about, you know, both David Blaine and Houdini and like the people Houdini inspired is there's so much Machiavellism, mind over matter shit, where some of the true magic is just the strength of the mind. I that's what I find the most fascinating and inspiring.
Yeah. David Blaine in particular, like David Blaine was probably one of the first magicians that I really got into because of like the old like street magic videos.
Yeah, 100%.
And there's so much of that that's, you know, it's like camera work and stuff, but it's like it's still really cool. Like the sleight of hand, like little card tricks and stuff that people can do, like that shit blows me away. But like his bigger things, like the fucking the most recent one he did was the balloons.
I hated the balloon thing. I thought that was so stupid.
It's like I don't know. Some of the bigger ones are just. It just seems like it's too much. Like it does. It's not as thrilling to me, I guess.
Yeah, I'm with you. But the food, the buried alive, no food, and then the like in a block of ice, no air. Like he set the world record for most time without air, and it wasn't like there were oxygen monitors on him. He really learned how to hold his breath longer than any other human being at the time through meditation and shit. And then he did the no food, and I think he went like 20 something days, but he lost like 33 pounds. He had like something like 10 calories a day.
I think that he starved in a box for 44 days.
He did have some calories in the form of sugar water. I believe that came out later, but he lost over 30 pounds and he did permanent kidney damage.
Yeah.
Like he was really doing that shit. And to me, I find that just very awesome, right?
Yeah.
Like even if maybe on some of them, some lines are getting bent, like we know for sure on the oxygen at 1, that was legit. And it's just like, he didn't try to become a world-class swimmer. He just wanted to do something that was impossible. That's fucking Houdini.
Yeah.
That's so fucking dope.
Yeah. Fucking just the wild shit.
Yeah. I think of Penn and Teller a bit more as the actual illusion. They're more the technical skill of deception, distraction, sleight of hand.
Yeah, I think nowadays when I think of magicians, well, first I think of Ja's dad. It's my friend. I think I call them like my friends, but they're definitely extended family at this point.
Sure.
He dude's a magician, and I've never asked him to do magic for me, just because it feels. I know that he enjoys doing it. It just feels weird to be like, oh, when you find out someone does a thing, like, oh, cool, can you do this thing for me? Can you do a thing now?
Entertain me, clown.
Yeah, exactly.
Be my man, entertainer.
But I've told him, since I've like, one of these days, you're gonna have to do some fucking magic for me. Like I try to be polite and I don't want to put you on the spot. But I definitely want to see some shit that you could do. We go to the fucking John King Books, which is a historical fucking library. It's like 5-story, not library, but like a bookstore. It's like 5 stories in this old ass building. Super fucking cool, wild selection of like used books and shit. And he finds these. Stuff? I'm sorry, what?
Sorry, do they have cool art stuff?
Yeah, they certainly do.
But yeah.
They have, whether it's like, books with, like collections of work or like instructional shit, like they have all kinds of wild stuff.
That's awesome.
He gets magic books there, like instructional magic books, and he's got tons of them, and just the whole, an office where like one of the walls is like just shelves and bins full of, pieces of, tricks and stuff, like prop magic stuff that he does. And it's like, one year we were over there, I was helping them set up their Christmas tree, and he goes over to the tree and he's pointing at one of the lights. He was like, "Oh, I think this one's a little messed up. This one, it looks like it's broken." And he takes this light and he pulls it off the tree, and he's holding this little fucking, light in his hand, and it's still on. And I was like, man, get the fuck out of here. Like he'll pull the shit out like randomly at times, and it's so, honestly, that one's like extra cheesy. Yeah,
but
yeah.
For real, like you're making a moment special. Like, it's goofy, it's cheesy, but like, even though you know how it's done, the illusion works. Yeah. Especially with the unexpected, like it makes shit fun. It's very much his comedy style too, though. It's like puns, and just like the goofier or stretchier, groanier ones, the better. What I think is really cool is the trade secret aspects, where you have like magicians ghostwriting or engineering tricks for sale.
Yeah.
Like, there's this whole market of like, they joke about it in the Blues Arrested Development, like Joe buying $30,000 magic tricks, but that's like real shit. Like people are designing tricks and selling them.
You mentioned earlier, you called Houdini a Da Vinci, and it's like, it really is like some of the magicians out here, like they make these, they design and create these, contraptions and tools and stuff that, convey this illusion. And I think that's such a cool fucking, type of thing to create. It's a very specific kind of creation process. It's like just the engineering involved.
Now, what about mentalists? Because I think mentalists have the potential to be some of the most interesting form of the art, but I think most of them suck. And anything that has to do with numbers, you can get the fuck out right away. Fuck that shit. Like, I like the inception aspect of getting people to think thoughts. Like, I don't want it to be like a trick, right? Like traditional magic. I like the idea of like, you're making people think things, or convincing them of something, or getting them to where I don't know. I think that's
real
so
mind freak.
Yeah, like the real psychology aspects of it. I know we talked about that dude Darren Brown. He can be super cringy, cheesy, but he has one called like The Push, where he sets up a Truman Show like scenario where he convinces a man to push another man off a building and kill him, and it's all like there's no magic involved. It's just psychology, really.
Yeah, I watched that the other night, by the way. It's some really wild shit. It's on Netflix. Yeah, there's other ones I didn't watch because you told me that one was the better one.
It's a good one to start with. I think The Push by Darren Brown's like the one to go in on, most exciting, but there's one he does just on stage called The Miracle, and it's like half super inspiring, half cringe, but he does things that are really just really impressive. Whether there's trickery to it or not, I don't think much of it is. I think he really just understands how to connect with people and to influence behavior in a non-hypnotist way. Yeah. It's none of that bullshit,
Yeah, definitely cool. I don't want to spoil any of it because I feel like our target audience would like The Push.
They probably already got Darren Brown tattoos.
Yeah, probably.
Pieces of a man being pushed. It's a Darren Brown mind freak ministry.
I'm glad you said that because I think I said it was before we were recording. But there was Doc, the guy that I was just talking about, the magician friend, he works at a magic shop here in town called the Wonderground, And one of the guys he works with apparently lived down the street from the restaurant I used to work at. And he came to the restaurant one day, and I talked to him for a minute, and then I went back to the kitchen and I told one of the servers, like, oh yeah, I know that guy. He does magic. I feel terrible because I forget his name. It's like Kevin or something like that, but,
thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, he's a cool ass dude. I haven't talked to him since, so I feel bad for forgetting his name, but, I don't know the full story of what happened. But the server went over there and apparently told him, like, or asked him, like, hey, can you do a trick for me? Rich said, you know magic. And, I don't know the entire trick that he did, but like he fucked with his watch and like put it on his other hand or some shit. And like they was like, and meanwhile, like explaining that like his magic, like doesn't, like what he does doesn't really, he didn't bring cards with him, so he couldn't really do one of those. And like his other magic doesn't really translate well. And like person to person things was like feeding them this whole bullshit line. And then meanwhile, like fucking up all his shit and like gaslighting into believing like it's a different day than it was. And like all this other shit. And the server was so fucked up by it afterward. Like he was like, he couldn't focus on anything for the rest of the night. He was useless the entire rest of the night. And then he ended up getting a tattoo. I don't remember what of, but it was inspired by, he said it was inspired by that event of that magic that was done on him. And
that's really funny.
Like he was so inspired by it in like a weird way. And like like I said, it fucked him up. Like he was useless all night long. He couldn't, you could see just a glaze over in his eyes trying to figure out like what the fuck just happened.
That's the power of a mental illusion, right? Yeah. Like something happened that he did not think he could fall for, did not think he could be that vulnerable. Like that's so cool.
I was thinking about that the entire time I watched the push though. The one thing I will say about that, the whole time I'm thinking like I would be so pissed off. Like there's so many things involved in that are like, these are traumatic events.
Yeah.
When you're not expecting it all. Like have you seen, it's not Fear Factor. What was the one with Tracy Morgan? It was like,
I'm not a fan.
Scared. You don't like Tracy Morgan? Oh man.
I find
Tracy
him
Morgan's
so
fucking hilarious.
He can be hilarious, but oftentimes he's so abrasive.
Fucking ghetto mating call. Slapping his belly.
That alone.
Yeah. There was, God damn. Anyways, he's on a show where like they prank scare people. And it's like a punked kind of thing, but like the scare is only like a couple minutes long, and then they stop at like, it's Scare Tactics. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And then they pop out and like they stop it. Like, okay, calm down. It's just a prank. Like that. The push like goes on for like an hour.
Yeah, they get this dude to think he murdered someone.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like that gives up too much. It's because it's really all about how the illusion is crafted.
Yeah.
Like, that's why those shows like the Scare Tactics, even like ghost hunting shows, like how you write a story or like you craft the trick, the illusion, the premise, like that is what makes it so interesting. Yeah. Right? Like, I love watching that. I love watching other people get tricked. Pickpockets are awesome too.
The ghost hunting shit, I never really thought about it that way, but that is a type of illusion because it's, it's all trickery with cameras and goofy shit. But, there's one up here, the rapper Prozac?
Yeah.
So he started doing those, up here in Saginaw.
That's really annoying to me.
It is. And the first couple of them kind of sucked. But they got better at it as they went on. And some of the later ones are like actually pretty cool. Like, cause they're more, it's not as blatantly like one of the earliest ones they have like, similar shit they do in like the Ghost Hunters ones where like, like, oh, you record, you go back and listen to the recording sound, and you can hear like audio. It's like, okay, it's an obvious setup for like, you don't hear it in the actual recording that we did, but then when we have this audio clip that we play back with a recorded voice on it, It's like, obviously someone just recorded their voice on it. Or it's like, it's not even really sounds like, what they're saying, but like when you say it, or when, that's what they're saying, it sounds like that's what they're saying.
Yeah,
it's changing the perception of.
What do we call it? The audio illusion, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
like those ones where it's the same audio playing, but there's like 8 different things, and it's like if you're reading it while the sound's being played, that's what it sounds like they're saying. But you can read the next line, and it sounds like they're saying the same thing.
The ghost box shit. Now, I just think unless the show specifically says it's for entertainment purposes only, I think it's just so predatory. Like you're preying on weak people.
Yeah.
That's what bothers me. And here's the question. Is it morally wrong to trick stupid people or people that want to be deceived? Right? Like people want it as entertainment value, right? Like they either like it just because it's purely fun, or they want to be deceived. They want the rush of those things. Is it, I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of fucked up to like trick stupid people into believing things you do or don't believe. It's like mentally ill people tricking other mentally ill people for money.
It's like ignorant people, no. Willfully ignorant people, yes, it's fine.
Right, and that's what sucks is it's so hard to draw the line because it's the same listener base.
Did you ever see the pictures of the guys that were selling the Trump rally T-shirts? It's a couple black guys, and the article's like, here's a picture of 2 gentlemen who would only give the names Nah Man and Get Out of My Face.
No,
he's like that was the names that they wrote down on, or they kept telling the camera guy, like, get away. And they were like, really, you're out here selling this pro Trump stuff? And he's like, I don't support it, but people are paying hundreds of dollars, $100 for a sweatshirt. So I'm gonna pay my way through. Yeah, I'm gonna pay my way through college. It's like,
good for them.
Yeah, goddamn right. I feel like it's the
still not like
you're taking advantage of these people, that are willfully ignorant.
And I don't fault them, but it's not like a good thing. It's kind of like, I believe all drugs should be legal. I believe we should be able to traffic drugs however the fuck we want. But
in your ass or in the ass of a friend.
Yeah, bunny pouch it. I don't think it's like a good thing to sell a vulnerable person poison, right? Like,
yeah,
I think you should be allowed. I don't think there should be anything legally or inherently morally wrong, but it is still like
when you're
preying on
feeding
people.
when you're profiting off someone killing themselves.
Yeah, it's a form of vampirism.
Yeah,
right. That's what it depends on how you use the power of the illusion, right?
The illusory drug selling, the illusory crack salesman.
I actually know a dude who got he got busted on the Cops TV show for selling fake coke, and it was like baggies of like baking soda or some shit. And it's like, that's the lamest. Like, he went to prison.
He still went to prison though,
because he had like priors, and it was still like intent to distribute. Like, it didn't matter if it was fake. They still got him on felony trafficking.
Damn.
And he did like years for it.
Wow.
Like, that's like the shittiest way ever to get busted on a Cops episode. It was an illusion, officer.
By the way, I just created a thing in my head, and it's something that I'm never going to do anything with, but I would love to have a story or a movie about a drug dealer that also does magic on the side, like does like wild, street magic and illusions and on the side.
that sounds wonderful. I wonder if I can work that into what I'm writing. I haven't been
doing like kids' birthday parties, but also selling baggies out the the back of his Ford Taurus.
Fuck yeah! Now what are we doing? Not to switch it too hard. What are we doing next for art? I really want to look at that the painter and the thief. But I kind of like these because we do a lot of art stuff, and I think most people who listen, if they don't like art, they're not listening. But I kind of like some of these abstract art forms. Like I wanted to do something with like the world's best arsonist, or like the art of like some
arsonist.
weird shit. You know what I mean?
I think we had discussed talking about surrealism.
Oh yeah, I mean, we recorded a wonderful 7-part series on surrealism, and we deleted it on accident.
Yep.
No, that'll be really fun to revisit. And we have graffiti stuff at some point. We got. Can we drop any other ones? What do we? I know we just discussed this philosophy. We're looking at. Oh, maybe we'll keep that one a secret. And then we're doing Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Alec Baldwin. I feel like, and I was talking about this with someone else, like when it first happened, immediately I'm like, oh, fuck, we got to talk about this. And then I realized, like, it's topical. It was topical then, but even if we recorded it that day, it wouldn't come out for another week. And then I would have waited until, we got more information together and we had more of a story to talk about. And I feel like, by the time we get around to recording that, there's going to be a lot more information. There's more information coming out like every day.
Yeah, there's some timelines out and some legal discussion that's new. But I think in general, how we've exercised some, I mean, we're just trash cats, right?
Yeah.
But we've exercised some journalistic discretion. We haven't said anything too crazy, too early. I don't know. I think that's a huge problem. Not so much with podcasts, but with just internet stuff. Like, people want to comment on everything right away, and I think it's better to feel it out a bit. I think we've done okay.
Yeah, get the facts, get the full thing. Did you? Yeah. I will throw this one in here while we're mentioning Alec Baldwin, and the Halloween thing's topical. Did you see that his daughter caught a bunch of heat because her Halloween costume was like she had like fake blood on her, and people were like, "It's too soon. You can't do that in the wake of what happened." Like, motherfucker, please, it's Halloween. Go fuck yourself.
Stupid. People suck.
Yeah.
That's why if you're a magician, you should trick the pants off anyone you come across. I would love to have that skill to be able to deceive that easily. Or not easily, but at will. Right?
Yeah, dude, I would carry around a pack of cards everywhere I went. I would fuck with people all the time.
Yeah, cards to me get a little more boring, but the card guys are often the guys I respect their discipline in the craft the most. Like, I'm sure you've seen like the Magic deals where they'll like have such advanced level of shuffle and hand technique that they can deal Magic hands of like the perfect hands for every player in a poker game. Like, have the card counting and like technique so thoroughly memorized and like down to perfect technique that people can't tell. They can rearrange decks in any order by memory. Like, that shit's so fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's obnoxious.
It is. I mean, there's this one guy in particular. He practices cards, like, it's something like 16 hours a day for the last 50 years. And it's just, that's just such an obsession.
Yeah.
I love when people are obsessed with things. I know we gotta get going soon. What about, dealing with magic, escape stuff, Houdini, whatever, invisibility. What are your thoughts?
It is the wildest superpower.
It would be so empowering.
Yeah.
What would you do? What would you do first? Or why are you drawn to it or find it interesting?
Well, I mean, I think all of us have like a voyeuristic thing that it's fun, like, even when it's like the fucking cops pulled up. There's 2 cop cars and an ambulance and a fire truck that pulled up outside of my house the other day, and it was like for the house across the street, and I heard the siren as they pulled onto the street, and it was like really close, and I heard them stop, and I realized like, oh shit, that's right outside. And I looked out, I could see from my window they were going into the house across the street, and it's like that weird, like, or like when the neighbors are arguing or something, like, put your ear up to the wall or, you
gotta peep a little.
Yeah, you gotta like, oh, what's going on over there? Like, there's always that voyeuristic thing of like, you want to see like what's going on with other people. I mean, I feel like that's really what you would, I mean, that'd probably be your first instinct. I don't know, other than like robbing people.
That's what I'm drawn to.
Yeah.
The deception. Oh my God, dude. Unlimited drugs. Think of all this
drugs.
All the sketchy things you could get up to being invisible. There would be such great risk though, because I'd imagine if you had an invisibility cloak, you had Harry Potter power.
You got a hold of Professor McGonagall, and they violated the laws of the Ministry of Magic.
And then you trip while robbing a bank, and it's all over. But fuck, it'd be. I'm with you though. The voyeur aspect. There's just those small things in life to be a fly on the wall would be very cool.
Yeah.
Now, what about like the Kung Fu Death Punch that killed Houdini? I'm sure you
Death Punch,
dude. He got 5-finger death punch like a motherfucker by some random college. That dude tied Cheatham straight in the sternum. The 1-inch punch.
Wait, what about it?
I don't know. But I'm sure
I love the dynamic that happens in so many of our episodes of
it just
like,
falls apart.
Hey, what about this? Hey, what if this? And it reminds me of a moment when I was a little kid and I used to ask questions like that all the time. It'd be like, what if, the fucking, the grass was green and the grass was blue and the sky was green, or, dumb shit like that. And eventually one day my dad was like, I don't know, man. What if, what fucking if?
It's such a great dad.
Like, what do you mean? Like, elaborate.
Dude, I feel like that's just how my brain functions. I'm constantly asking questions, but as you said that, like it feels kind of like a little kid. I do think it's wonderful. There's a good thing about that. That's the one I always tell my niece and nephew is like, never stop asking questions. Never stop asking what. Why? My bosses hate it. I have lists of questions every day.
I would rather 100 times that a employee asked questions rather than did shit wrong when they could have just asked me a question.
Definitely. I'm a curious kitten. I don't know what else to say. But I think doing the podcast has helped a lot. Like, and we're still new, but I feel much more confident speaking. But like when we write these episodes, I feel like it works really well because I will have a stream of conscious flow of random ideas or questions about a topic, and you're the yang to my yin, and you balance it and help me organize shit.
I always have the answers.
You do though, because I'm a big picture concept, but I can't put things together. My brain, like, I feel like I sound like a fucking idiot. Like I listen back to this shit. I'm like, who's this 12-year-old with a drug problem who can't talk? Like, I just ideas, questions all day. I listen to smarter people than me all day, every day for years, but I can't like articulate things the way I want. And I have to have the conversation and the help from someone more structured to like get anything of value to come out. That's why I've always stuck to like art stuff where I'm making something for someone to see, because it's hard. It's hard to do this. Yeah,
I love the dynamic we have, because I struggle to come up with like on the fly concepts sometimes, but I always know that you're going to have something to like throw in there. I got
bullshit cooking up here all day. I'm good
at bullshitting, but like I have to be given a prompt first.
Well, you always can expand on ideas or play with them. You're very, very good with that, and it works well.
I told you, man, we have the greatest podcast of all time.
It's so much fun. I think everyone should have a therapist. I think everyone should try hard drugs. And I think everyone should have a podcast or a form of art, and the world would be a lot more chill place.
And if you don't want to have a podcast or make your own art, you can always just listen to ours and tell more people that they should listen to our show. And, maybe in the future, give us some money to do the show. So
We're
that,
never making money.
Imagine if we didn't have to do day jobs and we could record podcasts every day.
Dude, I think realistically, between the ways we're trying to expand and have grown, I mean, we had no expectations going in.
No.
Nothing is happening anytime soon. I think it's really good we've kept the focus away from all those aspects. But I think, just like Houdini, with enough endurance and stamina, I think almost anyone can make something happen with enough time and effort. And I think we can have some unexpected, lovely consequences of these things we've been passionate about. I think something can happen.
Yeah.
Most of my life has not been very hopeful, but I don't know. Life philosophies change, and just with enough time and work, who the fuck knows, man?
I mean, shout out to all the people listening in all these different countries that we get notifications of.
That is so wild. We just had our first play from Japan yesterday. That was so cool.
Fucking Lithuania, Singapore, Pakistan, Bulgaria, Ireland, Finland, Morocco, Portugal. Just the tons of. I mean, I'm still scrolling.
Trashcats around the world unite.
In the UK, Canada.
All right. I know we got some cool topics that I promise, but we got to work long term on our American episode.
Yeah. And
then we need to carve out a life philosophy. That's something we both have explored on our own and talked about together. I really like some writing Destiny has done on philosophy. Shout out to GGG. But I think we could really. I would love to work on that, as an effort, a concerted effort to explore that through philosophy stuff.
To explore what through philosophy? I'm sorry.
Writing a life philosophy.
Like what life is about, kind of thing.
Yeah, how to live. Just what we believe. I
thought we already touched on that, and it was just don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. That's the most distilled version. Honestly,
that's definitely the cleanest, the easiest way.
Having that has helped me a lot, though. Recently,
it is also it's one of those, and I love this line now because it makes sense in a lot of different things. What the judge was talking about porn, he's like, I don't, I couldn't define porn, but I know it when I see it.
Yeah,
and it's like you can't clear cut define being a dick in all circumstances, but you know it when you see it. You know it when you're being one. You know it when you see someone else being one. It's it should be clear to know that that you should know exactly when you've been a dick.
Yeah,
and I've been one since the day I was born.
That's one I want to do too. Is exploring. Dumb past ideas or beliefs. Not so much mistakes, but just things we were wrong about. I think that would be an interesting look back on change. You know what I mean?
Oh God, yeah. Go through my old Facebook shit.
Yeah, I used to think
dumb shit I used to think and say out loud and on public forums when I was a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any last conclusions you'd like to touch on or draw about psychics, magic, illusions, magicians? No.
No, I think that's
don't hurt the rabbits. Wear your hats responsibly.
Yeah, I think that's all we got. I don't think we ever really do this one. Have we gotten any emails in the Trashcat email? I know we recently asked people.
No, we never shout it out. And honestly, I don't want people's advice.
No,
Like,
I don't want.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know what
yeah. You know, but
criticism's cool, but I like that. I like that it's so purely whatever the fuck we want to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, you know, if people have ideas for topics, I think that could be fun.
Sure.
Of course, it doesn't mean we're going to do it if you email us, but hey, you know, if you like the show or something, or you just want to like, hey, say
Just
like, what's
out.
up?
Say
Yeah,
what's up.
say what's up.
That's the hit us up on I mean, feel free to send an email at the trashcast at gmail, but hit us up on the socials. And like, for real, thanks to those people like Chaotic Approaching, Mark Indeso, for showing us love, sharing us stuff.
From my dad to hitting up the Facebook.
Fuck,
he's always commenting and shit. I don't go on the Facebook, but you know, I when I do, I see that he's all up in that.
It was so cool at the wedding. Like a couple people, you know, I hadn't seen in a long time, had known about our podcast, not knowing it was us that did it, and I thought that was just so cool. Like it's just so cool.
It precedes you.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah,
fuck yeah.
So, thanks again, everyone, for listening. Thank you to Approaching Human for the use of his music. You can find his work on SoundCloud at Approaching-Human.
Thanks, John. He's our outro today, as he is normally. He's got some really cool stuff. I'm trying to get him to finish up, and we're gonna get that program for you, John. Remind me the name of it, and we'll shout it out on the show, and we'll get you just set up.
Fuck yeah, man. Make sure to check out the show page at Trashcats Trashcast on Instagram for news and art from the show. You can also check out Facebook for the memes.
For the memes, if you're super bored, you can check out my trashy art on Instagram at Skyzix, SKYZICX. And for real, I've had, you know, a handful of people make it from the podcast to my art. And I just want to say I greatly appreciate people taking the time. I got I'm very excited about some stuff I'm working on now. So that'll be up by the time you listen to this. And shouts out to our honorable mentions.
Beeple.
We already mentioned. Yep. Shouts out to Beeple and all of our homies. We appreciate you guys. And then tune in next week for our episode on philosophy stuff. We got some fun. It'll be a fun philosophy stuff for next week.
Yeah, it'll be cool. Yeah. That's going to be all for us today. Stay classy, eat trashy.
Go fast, eat trash.